Hi, everybody. Thanks for listening in today. This is Lindsay Peterson from Montana Functional Health, and this is our Healthy Connections. And we are here today with Sara Close, and she is the founder of Hello Soul. And she is a badass yoga teacher, and she has a few other things up her sleeve that I want her to talk about. So yeah, let's just get into it. Sara, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a mama to a 5-year-old and have a background in nonprofit work and some event planning and conferences and kind of all like the serial independent contractor. But after my daughter was born, I started to get really clear on the things that I wanted to do and the things that I didn't want to do. I think that time that you're getting to be of service out into the world is really important. So I wanted to get super clear about what my offering was. And that's how Hello Soul came out. It's a retreat business. So I run retreats all over the world for women specifically right now, maybe men at some point in the future. One drop by on the retreat. I don't think I'd mind kicking them out, but right now it's for women. And they're an intersection of a lot of the things that I think have lit me up in the past and have helped me to stay on course. So yoga, I've been a yoga teacher for 15 years. Some coaching work, because I do coaching on the side as well, and then creativity. So we spool all of those modalities together on retreat to essentially give people that opportunity to answer the question, like, where the heck did I go? I think it's a pretty common question for a lot of professional women, at least as I've seen, in recent years, is that you're just putting one foot in front of the other with your jobs and your careers and parenting and what have you. And I think sometimes it's when you're following the plan, it's easy to look up after or in the middle of all the work and be like, wait a second, who am I? Retreat's just a really powerful tool for getting people back to themselves.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know I feel like we all get wrapped up in this busy world and there's just not enough time in the day to serve everybody you need to serve, and then find time for yourself as well, and keep that kind of your mindset and your goals and everything in front of you. Yeah. So I think that's huge that you are focusing on that.
And that's interesting what you just said about like time to focus on yourself too. I think when I first started this business, or I was thinking about it, I kept having that question of like, who am I to be doing this? Like someone else is already doing it, or I don't know enough, like all those internal things. But I felt like one of my biggest moments was realizing like, I need this, I need this. And I think I need to create from this space of needing something. I think that's where like the biggest, best teaching moments come out. And if I look at my mentors and the people who are on my like unofficial board of directors, my doctor and a few other people, I gravitate towards them because they're real and they're not separate from the work. They're not holier than thou about it. Like they're in it and they're human. And I think when you create from that space, it can be really powerful for everybody.
Absolutely. And then it's like, we use that word expert. Well, we don't have to be a quote unquote expert with certain initials behind our names to be still considered an expert in what we're doing, because we put a lot of time and energy into something. Yeah. I know for me with Montana Functional Health, I mean, it's the reason, yes, I'm a nurse practitioner, but I got into the functional medicine world because I had issues going on that really needed functional medicine to heal. So it's the same thing. Like I feel that from your perspective of really needing that for me, and then being able to understand it completely to be able to offer it to other patients,
Exactly.
Kind of like you're saying, like you're in those shoes, you've done the thought processes and you know how to sort of help people through some of those things.
Right. And not that my situation will be carbon copy with anybody else's, right. But I think like when you can operate from a space of knowledge and empathy, like find that intersection point, I think it's really helpful. People need to be seen. I think a lot of, I can think with your work, the doctor who I go to right now is the one that, and I haven't been to her in a while, but the reason why I was going to her was just because I felt seen. And I think that we really need connection and humanness from the people that we keep close to us. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Seen and heard, I think, are the two biggest things.
Totally. Yeah.
In healthcare that a lot of times we're missing, or even just in self-care, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. definitely.
Yeah, well, okay, so during all this COVID-19 craziness, tell us a little bit about how you're able to still do your businesses and how you've moved virtually and any adjustments you've had to make and kind of where you're at with everything.
Yeah, I don't think I'm unique in like, I didn't dodge the adjustment period of this. Like there was my retreats, I had 2 planned for this year. They aren't happening, of course. I was actually supposed to have 3 and then had prematurely backed out on 1. That was supposed to happen at the end of March. So I'm really thankful that that didn't happen. That felt like a bit of like universal conspiring there. But yeah, you know, the thing that's been so interesting about what's happened for me specifically is it's really pushed me to put things out that I was sitting on, or that I've been stewing on and wanting to have as an offering. But I tend to be a bit of a recovering perfectionist. So if it's not like polished, or I don't know the technology, or I'm not really sure how to market it or whatever, I won't do it. And right when we got the notice that my daughter's school was getting shut down, and that it was all kind of starting to come to fruition, like we're probably not going to be, you know, my yoga studio wasn't shut down yet, but that was all starting to stew. I just thought, I'm just going to start teaching online. And I always wanted to do that, especially because I've lived in multiple places. I run retreats from, you know, all over the place. And so my clientele come from all over the place. And it's this really weird thing to connect with people so deeply on retreat, and then they just like go home to wherever home is and you don't get to see them again. So offering online classes, I've kept them donation based, so people who are able to come and make a donation, that's great. But to me, I feel like this is the time where it's really important to stay in practice and to keep that tool of awareness front and center. Remember our lessons through the yoga practice, remember our breath, et cetera, et cetera. So anyways, it's just been this huge silver lining that I wasn't expecting to like put out this unpolished offering and be like, I have no idea. Like I had these little earbuds in the first and second class. And I think in the middle of the third class, I really like hucked them across the room. Like I was like, these are not working.
Yeah.
But man, it's just been so sweet to see every time I open up my classroom on Zoom, people from multiple countries and people from different time zones, and folks are dropping in with their kids and their pets. And it's just been really, really lovely. So that's one thing. And then I also started a podcast, which I'm trying not to call it a podcast because I don't want to intimidate myself. But an opportunity, I feel like, to just have short bite-sized bits of knowledge out there, things that pull from the Hello Soul approach. So again, yoga and coaching and creativity, and just have almost like musings, I guess I'd say, thought prompts, poems, breath work, breath work pulled from the pranayama practices in yoga, just certain little things like that. And it's just been really fun. And again, one of those things that I'm trying to just keep unpolished and put out there. So I don't clip my own wings before I do it, but so far so good. It's been great. It's been well received.
That's great. Yeah. No, I can't wait to listen. Have you launched it yet then? Do you have a few episodes out?
Yeah, I'm using Podbean, which is a free podcasting service. They make it really easy. You have like a landing page, and then you can upgrade and get fancier. But just the thought of having a free platform to play around with was appealing to me.
Oh, of course, especially when you're just getting started and you're just playing around with it.
Yeah.
It's nice to not incur another monthly bill.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it's been great. So I've been using Podbean, and then I have Zoom. And then I've been uploading my classes to YouTube. So that's great. If people can't make the live classes, then they can find them on YouTube, and they're also on my website, and the channel kind of crosses over. So yeah, it's this funny thing to shift everything online, but also feel like it just was the same beautiful community, just in a different container. And my expectation coming into it, or my worry, was that it would contract. And I feel like it's actually expanded in different ways. And that's been really cool.
That is cool.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to tell people where to find these things.
Yeah, totally. Okay. So, Hello Soul is the name of my business, and the website's hello-soul.com. And if you go on the website, there's links on the homepage. But you can go to the offerings tab, and in offerings, you can find the podcast, you can find all the yoga classes. There's also some other, breath exercises and meditations that I've done on that page, and it's continually updating. There's like 4 to 5 new offerings every week. So it's, you can follow along with that or go back into the library. And there's a lot to be had in there.
Good. That'll be great resources for people. And then kind of along those same lines, I was going to check with you and see if you had anything you wanted to share with the audience just about, during this crazy time, just anything that you can think of that might be helpful for people's well-being and mindset and just overall level of health from your perspective.
That's a good question. I can only speak from my experience and the things that I'm doing that are helpful. What I try to remind myself is that there was no on-ramp for this, right? Like everybody had 100% at their jobs. Some of us that are parents we had to be 100% in our parents, and you had these spheres for yourselves that were kind of all isolated, and now they're all one. And I think it's really hard for a lot of us. There was no like, oh, hey, this is going to be happening in 2 months. Start getting ready. It was just like, so, yeah, totally. So to me, it's been really helpful to think about, where can I kind of, sorry to swear in advance, but like kind of cut the crap, like, and the shoulds, like finding those streams in, and being really aware of the words that I'm ingesting from other sources. So, I've really been pretty critical in my email in terms of like the newsletters that I get, and unsubscribing and stuff, just if it's not filling my cup for that day or hasn't filled my cup in a couple days, doesn't mean that I don't like that person anymore or that I won't find them in the future. But just for right now, I think less is more. And it helps me to be clear with my thoughts if I'm not constantly trying to understand what somebody else is saying. So that's been really helpful. It's just literally like cleaning the news sources coming towards me.
Cut the fat.
What's that?
Cut the fat.
Cut the fat. Cut the fat.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then the other thing is just reminding myself that like self-care can be easy. I think there's previously we would put a lot, retreats are a really good example. Like I will feel better and I will do self-care when I go on retreat. I'm going to spend like money on a plane ticket, I'm going to spend money on a retreat, I'm going to spend, it's this big expense and you have to take time away. And it's this whole huge thing that's held into this tiny little bit of time. But I think this has been a really great experience just to get clear around what are the things that make you feel good. That can be really simple. When I come into a yoga class, sometimes we'll start in an easy seat. And I always try to remind people like, easy is part of the word. Like, don't make it a complicated seat. Like, just sit, and then find an easy breath. My breath practices are the thing throughout the day that I get more clarity and strength and calmness from. Sometimes it's literally just focusing and counting my breaths, like counting the inhale 1 and the exhale 1, inhale 2, exhale 2. And then other times, one of my favorite ones is starting with my breath awareness at the base of my spine. And then every inhale just comes up a little bit further on my spine, and I map it up to the chakras. So they're just energy centers in my body. And it's just a nice way to check in with like, how is my stomach doing? Like I hold a lot of stress in my stomach, because I'm sure a lot of us do. Heart, how's my throat? How's my mental clarity? Those types of things. And it's just a very loving, easy, uncomplicated practice. Those are the things that I'm loving. And two, I should mention, they're on my website. There's a few of these. I'm trying to record some of this stuff. I think it's helpful sometimes to have somebody else telling you what to do until you get a little bit more practice with it. So
absolutely,
these are on the website and the podcast.
Good.
Yeah,
that's great. Well, I think those are all amazing points. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, totally. Thanks for asking.
Yeah. And I have been trying to consistently go to your Saturday morning yoga class, and I love it so much. So any of you who aren't doing that, you should do it immediately, because it's really, I just love kind of just the way you practice and what you speak about and how you integrate different thoughts into the practice. And it's great. So yeah,
Thank
So,
you.
so I highly recommend that. And anything else she has going on, you guys, she's fantastic. So please check everything out that she has going on. It's so much and it's so amazing. And yeah, Sarah, thanks so much for being here today.
Yeah, thank you for the space. This is fun. I've never done this, so thanks.
Yeah, perfect. Well, I'm new at it too, so
here we go.
So, there we go.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, thanks so much again, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank
stay
you.
well.
Bye.
Bye.